So let me try this now. Let me just, okay, now we're streaming, or well, we'll see. We said we're streaming. Let's just see if it's, who knows? Okay, starting, it's starting. Stream health is, it's giving me a live. It says we're live. I don't see us yet. Okay, we're coming up right now, and there we are. Don't you love this technology? We have no one here yet, but if you're, but we'll just let people know. For people that are going to be watching in the archive, welcome once again to an unscheduled live stream event. And this time I have my partner in crime, Johnny Lipsham over in Scotland. And we're going to do the second part here of our interactive mixing. We're going to kind of continue from yesterday, and we'll do a little preview of what we did yesterday, and then we're going to move into mixing the guitars and the bass today. And Johnny's going to be helping us monitor the chat and kind of make things a little bit more streamlined. Or at least that's what we're going to try to do. Hey, Randall, how are you? So Randall's here, Richard's here. Hey, Richard, seriously again? Yeah, Richard, do you not have a life? I think you just hang around until we get onto YouTube, and then you jump on, which is really cool. We got a couple of people here. So we're going to try having Johnny's with us here, and we're going to try doing this together where Johnny's going to kind of monitor the chat. We're going to kind of pick up where we left yesterday. And for everyone that's watching this in the archive, so we're doing this new series here called at Home Recording Made Easy, called Interactive Mixing. And you may be asking yourself, well, what is interactive mixing? And interactive mixing is pretty simple. Basically, what's going to happen is I'm going to pull up a session in Studio One. We started this yesterday, and then what's going to happen is I'm going to give everyone in the chat room a couple of options on some different types of plugins that we can choose from. And we're going to move through each element of the mix. And you, the folks in the chat room, are going to direct me and Johnny on what we're going to do for EQ, compression, for panning, for everything. So you guys are going to make all the mixing decisions, and all Johnny and I are going to do, we're just going to kind of make the controls happen. And then when we get to the end of the song, we're going to have a mix that the community has created, and we'll post it up on Facebook, and we'll all learn together from each other. So this is a way for you guys to kind of get involved and help make some of these decisions, as opposed to just me showing you what I would do. It doesn't matter what I would do. You guys are going to tell us what to do. Sound cool? So yesterday we moved through the drums pretty much, and we'll bring up Studio One, and I'll kind of show you the before and after of what the group yesterday, we had about 20 people, right, Johnny, or so, that were here yesterday, kind of helping us shape the sound of our drum kit. And then we're going to move today over to bass and guitars, and we're going to try to limit this to an hour each session so they don't get too long. So that's kind of where we are. So we have 9 people here. The Future says he has a question. Okay, go ahead, ask your question quickly. We can maybe do some questions at the end if we have some time.
See if I can sync the YouTube better for me at this end.
Okay.
It's about 2.5 seconds out, and it's going to be awful.
It's going to be awful. Yeah, we always have a delay, which is kind of stuff. So yes, Richard, we're still going to use all Slate, either Slate digital plugins or Presonus plugins. We'll talk about that in a second.
Okay, that's pretty worse.
The Future is saying, asking, when you record a song in Studio One, is that song automatically copyrighted? No. Absolutely not. If you need to copyright a song, you need to register it with your local government, state, country to do copyright. It's not automatically I guess technically once you record the song, if someone tries to steal it, if you can prove that you recorded it before they stole it, I guess that is technically says it's copyrighted, but you're better off going through all the proper channels to properly copyright something, because you won't win that battle in court, more than likely, right?
Absolutely.
Would you agree,
right,
Johnny?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to pull up Studio One. So say goodbye to Johnny. Johnny will be here in spirit. You'll hear him, but he'll be off screen here. And we're going to move over to, oh geez, I don't know. First, we're going to go over to camera 2. You guys will just see me, and let me just get Studio One set up here so we can get everything rolling. I appreciate everyone joining us again today. This is fun. We're trying something new. This is something new, and we're going to get better at this all the time, or at least that's the hope. So now you all should be, you should all be seeing Studio One on your screen, and you'll probably, oops. Oh, what happened there? Wirecast, don't crash on me now. There we go. You should see me, and you should see Studio One, me in the bottom right-hand corner, Studio One in the top here. Let me just shrink down my screen a little bit so I can get some more real estate here. And then we'll do a quick preview of what we kind of did yesterday. We have 12 people here, Johnny, thus far.
Oh, That's pretty good.
Pretty cool. So Johnny's going to kind of monitor the chat for us, and we're going to see how that goes. So, okay, so here's what we have thus far. Oh, I got to get Johnny's, get that off the screen too, out of the way. Johnny, you're off the screen. Goodbye.
Oh no. Oh,
Okay, so here we go. So yesterday we worked on our drums, let's just kind of give you a preview of what we did yesterday. We'll listen to the first couple of minutes here. We have everything else muted. We just have a drum track kind of happening. Here's kind of our drums, and what I'll do is I'll bypass all the inserts and all the effects and kind of toggle them on and off so you can hear where we ended up, where we started and where we ended up. So I'll first go ahead and I'll highlight all these and I'll shut all the effects off. So what you're hearing now is what we started with, and then I'll just turn all the effects on so you can hear where the group ended up yesterday on the drums. Here we go. And let me know that if it's clipping or everything should sound good, hopefully. If we're lucky. Okay, it's coming, it's coming. Now these are the raw tracks. And here's what we ended up with. Okay, so that's where we kind of ended up with yesterday. So just in quick review, what we're doing for people that haven't saw the episode yesterday, on the master bus, all we're using is the virtual tape machine by Slate Digital on the 1/2-inch 2-track mode, and we're using 15 IPS per second. Okay, on the drum bus, we are using the virtual console collection, the mix bus part of that from Slate Digital. We're using the Neve setting. That's what everyone wanted to use yesterday, was a Neve console. And then the compressor we're using the Slate Digital FG116, which is an emulation of the 1176 low noise by Universal Audio. So that's this compressor here. We're on a 4-to-1 ratio. We're using a pretty quick release and a very fast attack, and we're compressing just a couple of dB. And then we have the Monster, which actually we didn't turn on yesterday, Johnny. I'd forgotten to do that, and we're going to turn that on in a second. I know we wanted someone wanted to do about a 10% mix. They wanted to only mix in about 10% of this. Now this compressor here. Yeah, this compressor here is an extreme dynamic processor. This really kind of emulates the 1176 and what is known as the all buttons mode or the limiting mode, where you're actually really heavily compressing and smashing the drums. It's a very, it's kind of one of those old hardware kind of engineering kind of secrets, using the all button mode on the hardware and giving a fast attack, fast release. Really whacking the drums. It sounds pretty terrible on its own, but when you tuck it in underneath the original drum track, it gives a lot more life and a lot more punch to the drums. So Jesse, I think yesterday, said we should mix in about 10% of this. So we're going to do that now. In a second, we'll turn that on. As a matter of fact, I'll keep it off and then we'll turn it back on. And so that's what we're doing on the bus. Now on the drums themselves, all the channels, all the drums have the Virtual Console Collection as the first plugin in the chain, using, again, the Neve setting. And then we're going over to the virtual tape machine, and we're using 15 IPS per second. That was a decision made by the group yesterday. 15 IPS on the master bus, but 30 IPS throughout all the tracks. And then on some of the drum tracks, we're using the SSL EQs. On some of the drum tracks, we're using the Presonus EQs, the Pro EQ. But we're not compressing on any of the individual drum tracks. We're doing only compression on the drum bus. Make sense, everybody? Cool. Hey, Raymar, how are you? Richard, how are you? Yes, we're still in mono, Richard. That is a Wirecast thing, not a Johnny and Dave thing. Yes, we'll answer some questions later. Richard, Missy, hey Missy, how are you? Thanks for coming in. I don't think you were here yesterday, and we're just going to keep plugging along here. Okay, so let's play back those drums a little bit again, and I will turn on the monster on the drum bus because that was Jesse's recommendation yesterday, and I just forgot to turn it on, and I apologize, Jesse, if you come back and hear this. So here's without the monster, and I'll just turn it on maybe a few seconds in, and you can hear what 10% of this blended into the drum mix does. And we're on a very, we have a, let's get to a drum smasher. That's what we want to do here. And we'll just turn this down to 10%. Okay. And you can hear what it kind of does. So right now it's off, and here we go. Kick it on here. That's before, and that's after. Okay, so that's what the monster's doing at about a 15% mix. You can't really hear it at 10%, so I jacked it up to 15%. So it gives it a little bit more life, a little more punch. We can always tweak that a little bit later. Okay, so now what we're going to do in this session is we're going to head off to the bass. Okay, everybody with us? Everyone's caught up from yesterday. So bass guitar, right now we have nothing on it. We got to first start off with, are we going to go with... I think we're going to still do the VCC and the tape machine from yesterday because we're going to do that across all the tracks. So let me just drop that on here, and then we'll go over to the tape machine as well. Okay, and let's listen to this bass and see what we have. Here's our bass. So there's our bass sound. So first thing we got to decide is what do we want to do, if anything, to it. Do we want to EQ? Do we want to compress it? We have a bass bus as well that there's no inserts on the bass bus. We can decide to put something there, but let's just start with the bass track itself. I'm going to play it back again. Think about whether we want to EQ and compress it or both, or do we just want to leave it alone? And Johnny, if you can kind of check out the chat and see what some of the recommendations are.
I'm looking at that just now. Yeah, they're talking about first.
Okay, what EQ do we want to use here? I see some EQ comments.
Yeah, EQ. I think Raymar is wanting a high pass, I think between 60 and 80,
okay,
I think.
So we want to do a high pass. Now, what kind of EQ do we want to use? Again, if you, in case you forgot, we can use any of the Slate Digital EQs, which pretty much means the Neve of the SSL, or we can use the Pro EQ by Presonus. The future is saying Presonus. Randall says compress it. It sounds like it's just a rumble. Okay, so we're going to EQ it first, and then we can go over to compression. Future says Presonus EQ, Pro EQ, Raymar. Okay, good. So let's go over to the, let me get over here on my screen. Let's go over to the Presonus EQ, the Pro EQ, and let's, where the hell is it? Here it is, and let's drop that on our bass. Okay, and there we go. So I think Raymar says between 60 and 80 hertz. Now, what do you want to do? You want to bump it? Do you want to cut it? What exactly do you want to do between 60 and 80 hertz?
Sorry about that. My kids just wandered in.
That's okay. No problem.
You probably heard my delightful kids there.
So we have between 60 and 80 hertz, but what do we want to do? It says EQ the bottom. What does that mean? Does that mean bump it up? Does that mean get rid of it? What does that mean?
I think Randall was saying it sounds like a rumble. So
Yeah,
probably
wanted
a
to
high.
compress. Oh yeah, Ramar wants to cut between 1680 hertz. Okay, let's play it back and let me just loop a section here, and we'll play it back and we'll do that. Okay, so we took out about 8 dB at 78 hertz. That's before. That's after. Okay, so we cut out about 8 dB at 78 hertz. With kind of a medium style cue. It took some of that real bottom end out. What else do you want to do to this thing, if anything? Anything else we want to do from an EQ perspective? Or do we want to move on? Randall says he wants to do a low cut at around 30 hertz. Okay, sure, we could do that. Let's do a low cut. And let's roll it off a little bit heavier than that. Okay, so we did a low cut about 32 hertz. We're rolling it off at about 24 dBs per octave, get a little bit more of a sharp roll off there. What else we want to do there? Ramar says he wants the 700 to a 1K bump.
Yeah, Missy confirms that as well. A boost around 1K.
1K, sure. Okay, let's go do that then.
Future's basically saying raise the highs and mids.
Okay.
We're heading towards that, I think.
So we got about a 4 dB bump at around 1K. What else do we want to do, Johnny?
The future is saying raise the highs and mids, but nothing really specific.
Okay, I can come up here at around 4 or 5K and try. I could play around up here and see if we hear anything.
Yeah, you probably wanted to get that fingers attack from there, aren't you?
Get a little bit there. Okay, here's before with no EQ. After. Okay, so we got a little bit of a bump here at about 4K, about 5 dB. We have a bump here, 1K, about 4 dB, and then again we have the cut here in the low cut high pass filter here. What we can do, can everyone hear that bass okay? The drum's a little bit too overpowering because we can lower that if you want to hear the bass on its own a little bit more. Let me just lower the bus a little. Gives you a little more just bass. That's before. It's after. Okay, are we happy with that bass sound? Or what else do we want to do to this? We did quite a bit of EQ to this. The future says it sounds good. Someone was talking about some compression a little bit earlier. Do we want to? Raymar says it's okay. Is this the bass track only? No, there's drums playing there as well, but they're a little bit lower in the mix just so you can hear the bass a little bit better. Do we want to move on to compression? I think Randall said something about compression, and if you do...
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Okay, what compressor do we want to use? We can either use the stock compressor or we can use any of the Slate Digital compressors, which will give us If you want to use Slate stuff, let me just show you what your options are. And then if you want to just use the Presonus one, we can do that. But if we go down to Slate.
Randall wanted to get a quick EQ thing in
Sure.
about a boxy kind of sound around about 300 to 400. I'm actually agreeing a little bit with that actually.
Okay, let's do that first. 300 to 400. Okay, let's move this over here. Let's see if we can find something there.
The bass to me sounds a little dark. I mean, I'm having to kind of play around with the volume slider because of the delay I'm getting between Skype and the stream, but it's sounding a little dark at my end. And I think everyone's basically going for the stop compressor as well.
Okay. Well, there's a big bump at around 200 hertz. That's where most of that low end is coming. So we could pull that down a little if you want and just see what happens there. And we can widen the Q a little bit. That's before. It's after. So the low end isn't as intrusive as it was before. So that was a nice little cut there. I think that made a difference. Okay, and compression, we're talking about what? The Presonus one? Is that what they were saying, Johnny?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to the standard good old compressor. And
isn't it?
Yeah, and let's pull that up here. Okay, so now what do we want to do here? Now we can start with a preset. Let me just ask for a ratio. What do we want to do for ratio here? We can do anything from 2 to 1, 3 to 1, 4 to 1, 8 to 1, 12 to 1. What would you guys set that ratio at? That's our first question of the day for the compressor. Right now it's set to a 2 to 1. Anyone? 3 to 1, Raymar says. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that. 3 to 1. Missy's saying a 2 to 1 ratio. The future says I don't understand ratio. We'll explain that in a bit. The future, don't worry. Okay, so let's do a 3 to 1. That was the first one that comes in. So now we got a choice if we want to do a slow attack, a fast attack. What do we want to do here? How much do we really want to grab onto this bass?
It's gone a little quiet.
So that's a really fast attack.
Raymar thinks fast. I would say kind of somewhere between, for me personally.
So here's kind of like a medium fast attack, about 1.5 milliseconds. And Raymar's saying slow release. We go that slow. Okay. Now let's pull down the threshold here. Now how much compression do we want to do here? Right now we're doing about 7 dB of compression.
That's a lot.
Here's about 3, about 4. And I can turn up the makeup gain a few dB.
Yeah, Raymar's saying slow release.
That's before the compressor. After. We're getting about 4 to 5 dB of compression on this. Okay, so we have like kind of a medium fast attack, probably leaning more towards the fast side, but it's not totally fast. It's 1.25 milliseconds. The release is at 453 milliseconds, which gives us a little bit of a slower release because that's what someone has suggested. So it's more towards the slow side, but not too slow. Mix is at 100%. We've given about 3 dB of gain increase in makeup gain, and we're compressing about 3 to 4 dB at a 3-to-1 ratio. So again, before compression, here's what we have. And here's the compressor. We good with that? How's that? Raymar says a little bit better. You'd like to hear it a little bit more in context. We can do that. I could bring the drums back up. And before we get to that, do we want to do anything on the bass bus? We have a bass bus down here. Right now, there's nothing there. Do we want to add anything there? Do we want to add the virtual mix rack? Is there anything else you guys want to do there, or do you just want to leave it alone? That's up to you. I could bring the drums back up a little bit so you can hear it in context.
I think we probably need to have the mix rack across all the buses personally.
Say it again, Johnny?
I think we probably need to have the mix rack across all the buses personally.
Okay, so we can do that. So let's get the virtual mix bus portion of the plug in there. So at least it's uniform across all the tracks. So many plugins, could never find them. Okay, here we go. It's a bad habit, right? Okay, so let's put the mix bus on the bass, and then we will go over to group 1 because that'll put us back on the Neve console.
General comment seems to be that the EQ and compression have tightened up the bass pretty good.
Tightened up pretty good, yeah?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. To me, it still sounds a little dark, and a bit, kind of bottom heavy.
Yeah, remember now, this is a live recording, so this is probably just a bass amp up on stage, and typically it's going to sound darker. If this was in a studio, they may use a different pickup configuration. They may use, sounds like he's probably playing with his fingers as opposed to a pick, which would be a little bit more attacky, which may be a little bit more in your face. So are we happy with drums and bass? Raymar says he agrees. Virtual mix rack, okay, that's cool. Everyone thinks we're okay. Okay, let's move over to guitars, shall we? Let's do that. So guitars. So we have a left and a right here. Kind of, again, you're not going to hear left or right, and it's playing the same part all the way through. So we're just going to start with one for now, and we'll drop our virtual mix rack and our tape machine like we did on all the other tracks. Let's start there. Okay, let's see what we kind of got going on here. So here's guitar number 1. It's coming right up the middle. Okay, so we got kind of that wonka wonka thing going on. It sounds like a wah pedal of some kind, and it sounds like a single coil kind of a Strat sound to me. So what do we want to do there with EQ? Do we want to start with an EQ? Do we want to start with a compressor? What would you all like to do for guitar number 1? Guitar number 1, what do we want to do?
Raymar straight.
Yeah. Raymar's there. EQ for fullness around 240. Future. Okay, what kind of EQ do you want to use? Do you want to use the SSL EQ by Slate? Do you want to use the Neve by Slate? Or do you want to use the Presonus EQ like we've been using up to this point? Missy says that she thinks it's good for an EQ, just compression. The Future wants to use the Presonus EQ. Does anybody else want to use just the Presonus EQ? Let us know.
Raymar says the Neve, so we've got a different of opinion there.
Okay, Randall wants to compress with reverb and delay. We'll get to that. We'll get to the reverbs and delays in another video. We're going to do that all at one point as well. And we'll compress this as well. So we got a Neve and a Presonus. Anyone else got an idea of what you want to use for the EQ? We haven't used the Neve EQ yet.
True.
But we don't have to.
Okay, there's another vote for the Presonus one.
Okay, so then let's go ahead and let's do the Presonus one.
Yep.
On this guitar, and then maybe on the other guitar we can do the Neve just to kind of split it up. But it's up to the group. It doesn't matter to me.
Bit of complimentary EQ.
What's that?
Yeah, a bit of a complimentary thing going on.
So here's the Pro EQ. Okay, so now what do we want to do to this guitar, EQ-wise? So let's want to listen to it a little bit.
I think somebody said fullness at 240.
Fullness?
Yeah.
Okay, fullness at 240. Let's start there. Okay, so we got about a 4 dB increase at about 248. Gives it a little bit of roundness on the bottom there. It's not too bad. Anything else we want to do there? What else we want to do?
If somebody doesn't suggest a high pass, I'm going to suggest one.
Okay. Okay, you want to suggest a high pass? We can. We can do that. What do you want to roll it off at?
At 120?
About 120. That's before. That's after. Okay, so that's what we got thus far. I think somebody said something about cutting at 500. Oh, Missy says cut at 500. Well, we could try that. Let's try that. Cut at 500. I'll sharpen up this cue a little bit. Let's see if we can find any nastiness at 500. Yeah, there was a little bit of honkiness there at 508, so we cut out about 6 dB there. Anything else? Anything else you guys want to do? Yep, we did the high pass. We got that up there, 120. We did a boost at 240 or 250, and we did a cut at around 500. Anything else? Raymar says he wants 2.5 for a little bit of a little bit of bite. Okay, let's see if we can find some 2.5 or so.
Right, right.
Okay, it's before. After. Okay, we got about a 2 dB bump at about 2.7. Any more than that, and it gets really kind of brittle. But I can put more in there if you guys want. Anything else we want to do to this guitar? Anything else you guys want to do to this guitar? Do we want to move on to compression at this point?
Yeah, the future says raise the mids and highs. We're kind of doing that.
We're kind of doing that in the 2.5. I can go a little higher just to see what's there. There's not a lot else there that's pleasing to the ear.
Not really.
Okay, so you guys, everyone says it sounds cool. Okay, cool. Now, do you guys want to compress this guitar, or do we want to leave it alone? I think a few people talked about compression. What kind of compressor would you guys like to use? We can use, again, Presonus, or we can use the Slate Digital stuff. I can show you what's available for the Slate Digital stuff if you want to see what EQs, what compressors are available to us, just so you guys know what, in case you don't have the Slate Digital products. If you don't have
film those anyway, for those that weren't here yesterday.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So for compressors for Slate Digital, we have the 1176 Blackface. We also have an emulation of the 1176 Blue Stripe. Sounds a little bit different. And also, if that isn't enough, we have the 1176 Vintage. Again, they all are controlled exactly the same. The difference is they all have a little bit different of different sonic characteristic to them. We also have the FG401, which is a tube style compressor, a lot like an LA2 or an LA2A. And I think that's it for compressors for Slate Digital, right? Yeah, I think that's it for compression. Or we have the Monster, which is that extreme compression like we did on the drums. So those are our compressors for Slate Digital. Future says Presonus. Raymar says the 1176. Raymar says the black 1176. Missy wants the vintage one. So we haven't done the vintage one yet, Johnny. We did the blackface on one of the other tracks in drums.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
So why don't we try the vintage?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, let's try that. Okay, so here we have, we're going to put in a 100% mix. We have attack and release times. Let's just play around with this. How much compression are you guys looking to do here? You want to do heavy compression, light compression? What are you guys thinking? Want me to just try it and fool around? We'll stick it on a 4-to-1 ratio for now. Does that sound okay to everybody?
Yeah, let's do it.
Try it out.
That's good.
Okay, so we have like a medium style attack, a fast release, and we're compressing about 3 to 4 dB. Okay,
That's
so let's what that good? Okay, so let's turn it off. We'll do a before and after. So here's before. After. Okay, so that's the before and after there. So is everybody happy with that? Or do you want to try something different with this compressor? Or do we want to try a different compressor altogether? You guys tell me.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good? It sound good to everybody in the room?
Ray says cool.
Cool,
No
okay. We have another guitar we can check out if you guys want to check that out. It's a different, let me see what's the difference. So here's guitar number 2. Sounds like it's the same guitar. I don't know if they just had 2 guitar players playing the same thing. Oh, you know what it is? It's the one guitar player, but they mic'd up the amp with 2 different microphones. That's what it is. So it's kind of just redundant, right? We really don't need that. We don't need the second guitar. I mean, we could pan them hard left and right, but you all are not going to hear hard left and right. That's the problem over YouTube through Wirecast. You're not going to hear that panning difference. So let's go ahead and let's just for that reason alone, let's just get rid of that track. We really don't need it for this demonstration. So we have the guitars, the guitar done. We got a little more time here. So why don't we move on? Let's take a listen also now to the guitar bus, right? Because we want to put that same.
Yep, we want to put the same
VCC on there, right? So let's do that.
Yep.
And let's just see where our settings are. I should unmute the track. That would be helpful. Right? Or you're not going to hear anything. So let me just unmute that track. Where is it? Here it is. Unmute. Okay, so there's our drums, bass, and guitar. There's our drums, bass, and guitar. So now we have an organ. So we have, let me just get to some organ parts here. Let me loop where there's actually going to hear some organ parts.
This is where it's going to get fun, mixing a Hammond.
Yeah, well, fun would be one way to describe it. So we have a left and we have a right and we have a low. I'm not really sure what that means. I would only thought there'd be a left and a right. I don't know why there's a low, but there is.
I can explain that. It's because the Leslie speaker has 3 horns. It has a bass horn and then two kind of mid and top horns.
Oh, well, there you go. So that would give you the 3 channels.
And they rotate, the horns inside the speaker rotate.
Got it. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's put our virtual mix rack up there for our virtual console on all 3 tracks, right? And then let's also drop our tape machine on there as well, so we keep everything kind of consistent. Okay, and now we're going to take a listen to these to this organ, and we're going to see what's going on here. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
I am a Hammond, so I'm going to keep my mouth shut about what I would suggest.
Okay. Ready? So let's listen. Let's listen and see what the hell's going on with these. Okay, so now what we could do here is we could just take these 3 tracks and we can bus them and we can EQ and compress them as a single instrument, or would you guys rather do this as separate tracks? You guys tell me what we should do here. Remember on the kicks, we took both kicks, we put them into a bus and we processed the bus, and we did the same thing with the overheads and the rooms. So we can do this with the Hammond if you want, or we can just do them separately, the left, the right, and the low. What would you guys rather do? It's completely up to you all. Bus as a single, Raymar says, okay, you're the first one to respond, so that's good. Okay, so we're just going to go add bus.
Yeah, confirm that as well. So.
Okay. Select a channel, and then we want to make sure that this goes out to the bus, and we're going to call this organ. Alrighty. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to you want to start with an EQ or a compressor? What do you guys want to do? So we have a bus here. Okay, we got an EQ first. We're going to EQ first. And what EQ would you guys like to use? SSL, Neve, or Presonus EQ?
I'll be right back.
Yep. Future says EQ Presonus. Anybody else second the Presonus EQ, or do you want to try the SSL, or would you like to try the Neve, or we can stick with the Presonus? It's totally up to you guys. What would you guys like to do? Got 16 people hanging out with us. This is great. I hope you guys are having fun. You guys find this somewhat helpful, informative, and cool. I hope you do. You're all participating, so I guess so. Raymar says SSL. Okay, we have SSL and Presonus. Anybody else? Missy says per cat the Presonus. Okay, we got 2 for the Presonus, 1 for the SSL. Anybody else want to, no, we're not going to use any waves this time around. This particular mix, we're using only Slate Digital and Presonus plugins. The next time we do another song, we will pick different plugins and we will probably do waves in there. Okay, Presonus. Okay, we have enough for the Presonus. So let's go ahead and let's go to the Presonus. Thanks, Randall, for breaking the tie. So let's go over to the Pro EQ and let's drop it on that bus and see what we have. I think you guys are doing a good job. The mix is starting to come together pretty good. You guys are pretty good audio engineers. You must have been taking some made easy training along the way. You guys are doing a great job, man. All right, this is awesome. So here we go. So let's play this back, and you guys let me know what you want to do from an EQ point of view. Here we go. Okay, so Raymar says you want to do a high pass at 200. Okay, let's try that. We can do that. So let me see. Okay, there's a high pass at 200. Anything else you guys want to do? I hear Johnny's phone ringing. Okay, so we got our high pass at 200. Is there anything else you guys want to do? Let's play it back again so you can listen some more.
Sorry, folks, that was my phone ringing.
Okay, we got the future saying cut the low mid frequencies. About where? Give me a frequency range. Low mids. Where do you want to start? Where do you guys want to start? And any other EQ moves you guys want to make, or do you like the way it sounds the way it is? Right now we have a high pass or a low cut filter at 182 hertz. Missy says boost around 1.5K. We could do that. Okay, got about a 2 dB boost, 2.5 dB at 1.5K. Get rid of the nasty stuff in that low mids. Okay, so where? Between 2 and 500 the future? Is that where you want to go? We can play around in there, see if we can find anything nasty in there. Let's try. Oh, that's nasty. How about that, the future? That was at around 780 hertz. Let's get rid of some of that nastiness. Raymar says burn a little at 880 to 1,000. That's kind of where we just cut out a little bit. 3 to 500 is where you want to move to? Okay. Around 500, 510. Got a little bit of a cut there. Not much, about 4 or 5 dB. Could probably even cut it a little less than that. We'll widen the EQ a little. Anything else we can do? Let's do a before and after. So here's before the EQ. After. Okay, everyone, Future says it's cool. Raymar thinks it's good. Missy, what do you think? Do you think it sounds good the way it is? You want to move on to the vocal? We weren't going to go this far, but we only got one track left, so maybe we will. And then we'll call it a day, and then the next time we'll do another mix. You guys think it sounds good? That keyboard or that keyboard? The organ?
I think it sounds really good.
Yeah, not bad, right? Okay, let's move on to vocals. It is the last track. We weren't planning to get this far, but then again, I didn't realize we had a double guitar track there. So let's go to the lead vocal. Let's dump our console collection on there along with our tape machine just to stay uniform. And this is the last. Oh, we have an organ bus. Do we want to do anything on the organ bus? Do we want to do the same thing as we did with the guitar, which is put the virtual mix bus on there?
Oh yeah, that's a good.
And And we may as well do the same thing on the vocal bus too, because we're already here, right? Okay, so let's drop that on there. All
That's
right.
the point.
Yeah, good, right? Okay, so now we're on the lead vocals. Let me get to a verse section here where you can actually hear him sing. He does a lot of ad-libbing and a lot of scatting around and stuff. So let's try to find something where
David, I was just going to say, we don't have the virtual mix rack on the organ bus.
We do now. I think we do. We have it on the I see what you mean. On this one here. Yep, we could drop it there. Let's drop it in there. There we go. Okay, now we have it on there. So let's see if we can find the verse section to this vocal. Let's see where he's actually doing some singing. That's about as much singing as you're going to get out of this cat. So that's, which is great. It's kind of a funky James Brown thing, but it's cool. All right. So what I'll do is I'll turn up the vocal a little louder than normal, just so you guys can hear it a little bit better. And while you guys are listening back, I'll adjust the VCC and the tape machine to a reasonable level. And then you guys think about what you want to do for EQ and compression or both. Say you, I don't have to go nowhere else. Right here with you, if you want my love, or go attention. Say you, I don't have to go nowhere else. Right here with you, if you want my love. Okay, there's our male vocal. Okay, we got some people chiming in on the EQ, Johnny. What do they want to do here?
Yeah, they jumped in real quick.
Jumped in quick. Okay, well, that's good. They're decisive. I like that. Okay, so let's decide. EQ. Do we want to use Pro EQ by Presonus, SSL, or Neve? Pick. Look at that. They know exactly what to do. High pass here. They know exactly where they want to cut and cut.
Yeah.
That's excellent. Okay, what kind of EQ do we want to use, though?
Somebody say SSL, please.
Raymar says the Neve. You know, we haven't used the Neve yet, Raymar, so let's do that. We haven't. That's the only one we haven't used. So let's try it. And if we don't like it, we can always change it. You know, we don't have to live with it. But what the heck, right? Let's at least give it a whirl and let's see what we find on the Neve. The Neve is a very colorful EQ. I'll give you that.
Oh yeah.
Now, the difference between the Neve and the SSL on this particular plugin, well, on most, but what I've noticed on the Neve and the SSL is when you have the SSL up here and you want something that you want to audibly hear something really happening, you really got to jack this up or turn it down. There's no subtlety in the SSL. It is crank it one way or the other. That's where you're going to hear the difference. Conversely, on the Neve, which is what we're going to use, you only have to touch things a tad and you hear an audible difference very, very quickly. It's a real different experience altogether. Okay, so here's our Neve EQ. What do you guys want to do? So someone said around 120 hertz they wanted to EQ. What do you want to boost 120 or do you want to cut 120? 120 lives down here. We'll get right around 120 hertz. There we go. 116. I think you can even type it in the box. Yes, you can. Oh, I know my screen just changed. I'll fix that in a second. You know what happens when you touch the numbers on the on your keyboard? It switches the cameras because I got everything to shortcuts. That's what happens. Now we're back. Okay, there we go.
Okay, Raymar is saying boost.
Okay, boost. All right, we're at 120. Let's boost. Let me get back to Studio One now. Here we go. All you gotta do is give it up. Go attention now. I say you, I don't have to go nowhere else. Right here with you, if you want my love, all you gotta do is give it up. That's before. I say you, I don't have to go. That's after. Nowhere else. Right here with you. Okay, so we got about a 4 dB boost at 120 hertz. Anything else you guys want to do?
Somebody was suggesting a high pass.
High pass, sure. Okay, we got to pick. We can either roll it at. Is this variable? Oh, yes, it is. Okay, what do you want to? What do you want to high pass?
Somebody was suggesting a high pass. I think Missy was saying 200, but then that would wipe out the boost we just done.
That would wipe out the boost. So let's try around 100 and see what we get.
If you want my love, all you gotta do is give it up. No attention now. I say you, I don't have to go nowhere else. Right here with you, it will open me. If you want my love, all you gotta do is give it up.
Okay, rolled off for a little over 100 hertz, and we boosted around 120. Anything else that we have going on there with EQ wise? How are you guys with the rest of the vocal there, as far as EQ is concerned? Raymar saying what, a little 5K for some presence, so we want to boost up a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing.
Okay, let's go over to 5K. That's going to be up here, and let's boost a little.
No attention now. I say you, I don't have to go nowhere else. Right here with you, it will open me. If you want my love, all you gotta do is give it up. No attention now. I say you, I don't have to go.
That's before.
Nowhere else. Right here with you, it will open me.
After.
If you want my love, all you gotta do is give it up.
Okay, there we go. We got about about 4.85K. We're boosting about 7 dB to bring out a little more highs. Randall said it sounds better. It sounds kind of dull. Yeah, it's like, I got to remember too now. Again, this was a live recording. Again, I don't know the microphone, but I'm sure it wasn't a large diaphragm condenser mic. It was probably a dynamic mic like an SM58 or an SM57, which are going to tend to sound a little bit duller and darker on vocals. That's just the nature of those microphones. Yep. Man, this is a live recording. If this was in a studio and he was singing into a nice large diaphragm condenser mic, it would sound a lot more open on the top end. So that was, I picked this recording for a reason because I knew there were going to be some problematic things going on. This is one of them. The vocal, it's okay. And you can hear he's pulling away from the mic. There's, it's dynamic because he's performing. He's not standing in front of a microphone singing straight into the mic. He's all over the place, moving around, and he's off axis a lot. But that's the nature of live performance, right? So it's cool. It's got a vibe. It's a great song, right? You can bet everybody was in the hall dancing to this one. Nobody was sitting. No one was sitting still. So it's great, man. Okay, so Raymar says it's good. Randall says he likes it. It sounds a little bit better. The Future says it sounds a little dull, but we just talked through that. And he's right. It is a little dull. Anything else from an EQ perspective, or do we want to move over to compression? And if we want to move over to compression, do we want to stick with a Slate Digital compressor, or do we want to go to a Presonus compressor? If you remember, we have 3 different versions of the 1176 here that we can pick from: the blackface, the modern, which is the blue, or the blue stripe, or the vintage, or we can take the FG401, which is an LA2 tube style, LA2A.
Here, Missy saying a boost between 8 and 10 of 3 dB.
Sure, we can do that.
And Raymar was wanting to hear the overall, where we're at, I think.
The overall mix.
Which is not a bad idea.
Yeah, okay, let's do a little high-end boost. I can do around, I think this is a 12K.
No attention.
Oh, okay.
I say you, I don't have to go nowhere else.
That opened up the vocal a little bit. Okay, so now let me balance the vocal to the rest of the band, and let's see what we got. Kind of a, the whole kind of dealio here, the whole mix. Okay, so that's kind of our mix. Kind of, sort of. It's kind of balanced okay. We're still working on the vocal. Anything else we want to do to the vocal from an EQ perspective, or do we want to move on to compression, or do we not want to compress it at all? I just boosted the highs a little bit, the future at about 12K, about 4 dB, and it did make a difference. Here, let me do before and after on the EQ. Here's before EQ on the vocal. That's after. Okay, so that's kind of our vocal sounds. Yeah, Missy made a good call on boosting that 10-12K. That opens it up a little bit more. You want to move on to compression? Randall's saying let's compress the snot out of it. We could do that. What kind of compressor do you want to use? Do you want to use a slate compressor, or do you want to use a Presonus compressor? What do we want to do for compression? Johnny, any suggestions on compressors?
Yeah, I'm gonna go slate here.
You're gonna go slate. Okay, the future says Presonus.
Steven says 1176 blue, and I was gonna say exactly the same thing.
1176 blue. Okay, let's try that. It's a good choice. Why would you pick the blue one? I'm just curious. I know why I would pick it, Steven. Tell me why you'd pick the blue. Or do you just want to hear what it sounds like? Good choice. Why would you pick the blue one? I'm just curious. I know why I would pick it. Tell me why you picked the blue. So we could set it to a 4-to-1 ratio. He wants to compress the snot out of it. We could do an 8-to-1 ratio. Why the blue stripe? Exploring the sound. Okay, that's cool. No, that's good. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm going to show you why in a minute why I would have picked. This is a good pick for this vocal, and I'll tell you why. The difference between the blue, just so you know, the difference between the blue stripe, which is what they call this, and the black is the blue is brighter. And so if you have a dull vocal or a dull anything, and you want to make it a little bit more bright, the blue stripe is better than the black stripe. The black face is a much more warm sounding. It'll take a dull vocal like this, it'll make it sound even duller, and it'll kind of almost negate all the brightness we put in the EQ. Okay, where the blue stripe will give you the exact opposite effect. So just so you know, but okay, let's go. So Randall said he wants to compress it fairly heavy. So we're gonna do an 8-to-1 ratio. We're gonna try to compress, 5-6 dB. Let's just see what we get. And we'll stay on a fast attack, kind of a fast release.
Yeah. Agreed.
We're getting somewhere between 7 to 9 dB of compression. I level match the plugin. So let's start with it before compression, and then I'll flip it on after.
That sounds pretty good.
Not bad, right? So there's two things that I hear. I don't know what you'll hear over YouTube, but Number one, it actually gives it a little more of an open feel because this compressor tends to be a little bit brighter sounding. And the other thing that it does for this vocal, which is helping us, because remember we were talking about a few minutes ago how this vocalist is running around or walking around, say she's performing, he's using a dynamic microphone, which typically only picks up from the very front of the microphone, and as soon as he turns his head off axis like this, you're hearing a lot of the vocal drop out. What this compressor is doing is it's reducing that quite a bit, and it sounds like he's more on axis now because you don't hear the big volume shifts. Okay, and I'm going to give you an example of that right here. Let me see, I think it's in the first line here. Let me hear it.
I said, I've been standing here all night long.
I think it's right there. So before compression, this is what that line sounds like.
Just trying to. I said, I've been standing here all night long.
Okay, now with the compressor, listen to the I. It doesn't come out and slap you in the face. And then when he says, I think it's the word here, you can hear that the volume drops off. It feels like he's coming off axis with the microphone, and it kind of pulls it back. So here's with the compressor, with that same section. Oop, that's not what I wanted to do. Command Z. Here we go. Let's do this. Here we go.
I said, I've been standing here all night long. Just trying to.
Yep.
Right? So the word I doesn't really pop out at you too much, and it sounds like it's more even from a volume perspective. Okay, so that's what this is doing for us. And it seems like to me it opens up, there's a little more air around this vocal now. Not much, but just a little. And that's what the blue stripe will tend to do. Okay, so that was a good call. Even if you didn't know why you called it, that was a good call, Steven. Okay, so now we got EQ and compressor. So now let me go ahead and let me just bypass both the EQ and the compressor so you can hear what they're doing together. So we're going to start with the plug-in bypass, and then we'll turn it on. Okay, here we go.
I said, I've been standing here all night long. Just trying to get your attention.
Here we go.
I say you, I don't have to go nowhere else. Right here with you in Belmont.
Much better. So really good decision making there with the EQ and the compressor, guys. I'm impressed. That was really good. We got a vocal that sounds a lot more open. It sounds a lot more consistent. It doesn't have a ton of volume variation, and it gets rid of that real thick dullness in his voice, and it kind of brings it a little more forward. So that sounded really good. Anything else you guys want to do to this particular vocal, or should we leave it alone? We good? Sounds good?
Yeah, sounds good.
Sounds good. Okay, so now we've gone through the whole mix pretty much at this point. Is there anything else you guys want to do to this from a processing point of view? Again, on the master bus, all we're really doing is using a tape machine. Okay? What I can do is we can bypass all the effects, and we can, now that the mix is done, pretty much, right? I mean, I don't hear anything that's really sticking out like a sore thumb. So why don't we, well, let's do this. Let's go all the way down. So let's turn off all the effects. And here's where we started. And then I'll kick in everything and you can hear what you guys did for the mix. Okay? How's that? Cool?
Yeah, sounds like a good idea.
All right, here we go. Here's before, and you'll see when I kick it in.
Good, good, yeah. I said, I've been standing here all night long. Just trying to get your attention. I say you, I don't have to go nowhere else. Right here with you in Belmont. Good, good, yeah. I said, I've been standing here all night long. Just trying to get your attention.
Here it comes.
I say you, I don't have to go nowhere else. Right here with you in Belmont. If you want my love.
So there's before and after. I think you guys did a great job. I think it sounds like,
Yeah.
like it's coming together, right? I mean, is everybody pretty happy with this stuff? What do you guys? What the future wants to know the name of the band is the Alan Evans Trio Bands. Look them up on Google. They got a lot of great music. Very funky R&B-ish kind of a thing.
Yeah, great sounding band.
Yeah. Missy's asking about EQ on the master bus, maybe? Sure. What makes you want to put an EQ there, and what EQ would you like to put there, and what would you like to do?
I do believe we actually have some EQ on the mix bus, do we?
Nope. All we have is a tape machine.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's it. What would you like to do on the... If you want to put something on the... Raymar says he likes it. Yeah, I like it too. It sounds great. But we could put some EQ there, Missy. What would you like to do? And what EQ would you like to use? Someone wants to put the FG Red on the master. That's a Slate Digital product. FG Red is the Focusrite compressor. Oh, no, that's not going to be in this plugin. It's going to be in the other one. Missy wants to cut around 120 hertz with a Presonus EQ. Okay, cool. Let's try that quickly. Presonus. Here we go. Pro EQ. Where the hell is it? It's going to be under P, right? Yeah. Pro EQ. Okay. 120. Sure, we can do that. Let's do 120 and let's do a cut and see what we get.
Raymar's asking if there's an API.
Okay, there's 120 cut at around 5 dB at 122. Anything else you want to do there on the EQ? Is there an API, Raymar? Yeah, there is, but we're not using it in this. We're only using Slate Digital and Presonus, and Slate doesn't have any API plugins, at least none that I own. Let's see. The future thinks the bass and the kick are too loud in the mix. Yeah, we could balance that a little bit, sure.
I'd also argue that Hammond overwhelms the guitar a little bit.
Okay, I lowered the kick and I lowered the bass and I raised the guitar a little bit. Right? Is that what somebody said? Raise the guitar?
I think so, yeah, actually.
I turned it up a little bit. Okay. Anything else we want to do to this? Are we happy with this mix? Are we happy? We came a long way, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it looks good, right? We've been running, about an hour and 12 minutes now, so we're a little over our hour mark, but that's okay. We finished up, and I wasn't thinking we were going to finish the mix this time around. So you guys cool with printing this the way it is and me throwing it up on the Facebook page, or is there anything else we'd like to try to do? We still got 20 people hanging around for most of the time. Missy says it sounds sweet. That's awesome. I think it sounds good as well. Someone asked about the FG Red on the master, which we can put if you want to try the FG Red by Slate Digital, if you just want to hear what that's going to do. The Focusrite.
That's true. We haven't mixed through a compressor, have we?
No, we have not. We have not. But we could put the FG Red on there if somebody wants to just hear what it sounds like. So here's the FG Red. This is the Focusrite emulation by Slate Digital. We can do, like a 2-to-1 ratio, something not too heavy. We can do a slow attack, so we're not beating the hell out of it, and a fast release. And what's great about this compressor, it has this little knob over here called the drive knob. This gives a lot of nice little coloration. This is a nice feature to this. And so let's go ahead and let's see if we can get a couple of dB of compression. What happens?
I said, I've been standing here all night long, just trying to get your attention now. I say you don't have to go nowhere else, right here with you and well on me. If you want my love,
That's before. It's after. Adds a little flavor, right? Adds a little something to it. It's subtle, but it's definitely there. That's what that kind of does. It kind of just gives it a little bit more harmonic richness to it. We can leave that on there if you guys want. So you guys happy with this mix the way it is? Is this going to be the print? Is this going to be it? Sounds good, Raymar says. Yeah, the FG Red with the auto release, a little glue to the mix. Yeah, it does. It adds just a little bit of glue. It's subtle, but that's what we're going for, right? We're going for subtlety. Raymar says, sure, it sounds good. Cool. Johnny, what do you think? You think we're good with this mix?
I think so. I think we can print this.
Yeah, we could probably print this and toss it on the Facebook page, right?
Yeah, why not?
That would be awesome. Okay, that's cool, man. Well, you know, that was a lot of fun, man. I'm glad. Let me get Johnny back up here on the screen somehow, some way. And we can go here. Right. Is this where we are now? There we are. So Johnny's back. And we are here. And yeah, that was a lot of fun, man. Over the last couple of sessions, to go ahead and to have, you know, everybody kind of mix along with us. I thought that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun.
It was.
Did you guys, how did you guys like, do you kind of like this idea? Do you like that we should do more of these in the future? Again, between Johnny and I, we could come up with some better ideas on how to maybe streamline it, to do some, you know, more interesting things with it. But is the concept something that you guys are into? I mean, we still have the same 18, 20 people that have been here since the beginning, so people are watching it and checking it out. Do you guys find this helpful? Does this become a little bit more of a learning experience for you? Because that's the whole point of this is I was thinking, instead of me just showing you how I would do things, to get people involved, you know, to see different ways of doing things and to see what people's thought process is as they're kind of making some of these decisions. Steven says he thought it was really good. The Future says yes, he likes it. Raymar says yes, I like it. Okay, great. That's awesome. Well, then we're going to do this again for sure then. We'll do another track, and then the next time around, we'll pick different plugins. Maybe we won't use Slate Digital, and we'll pick Waves or Universal Audio or FabFilter. I mean, I have a whole bunch of them, so we'll have to stay within the framework of what I have. But I have a lot of different types of plugins, so we can use different tools. And, you know, we can maybe one mix we'll use only Presonus plugins, and we'll try different things as we go along, and we'll try a different genre of music next time around. Maybe not a live recording, maybe a more studio recording, to things that you have a little more control over. So that's good. What else? Any questions in the chat? And then we're going to wrap it up because it's been an hour and a half, which is beyond really what we wanted to do for this particular video.
Yeah. Dinner. So.
Yeah, Johnny's got to take off too. Okay, yeah, Randall thinks it was great. It was a great learning tool. Okay, this is awesome. Okay, awesome. So this is great, man. So again, I want to thank everybody for stopping in and checking it out. Again, I know we did this with no notice, and the fact that we have 20 people that have been here for almost an hour and a half with no notice is great. I think what we'll do next time, Johnny, is we'll schedule it in advance, and then people will know about it, and we'll put it on the Facebook page. So if you're not following me on Facebook, go to Home Recording Made Easy on Facebook and follow me there. That's where we'll put the announcement to when the next interactive live stream will be. And I think that will be kind of something separate from the regular monthly live stream that we do, where we talk more about, you know, the gear, and we take more questions and answers and stuff. And this will be kind of its own separate thing, this interactive mixing concept. Does that work? Anything you want to say, Johnny? Anything you want to talk about while we're wrapping up?
I think this has been a fantastic idea, and I think it's been some of the decisions that have been made with this little group that we have been really, really cool. Some good calls made, and it's made the mix come together actually quicker than I thought it would.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I wasn't sure what it was going to be.
But actually, it actually sounds really good.
It does sound really good. And a lot of the, you know, you can tell a lot of these folks have been kind of following what we've been doing for a while, and they're taking all of our core, and you can see where, you know, they're actually taking the courses, they're absorbing the information, they're practicing with it, and you can see that now as we start to work with them after they've had time to go through the training, which is fantastic. So that's it, man. So I think we're going to wrap it up for this video. Again, thanks so much for joining Johnny and I, and we will see you probably in the next 3 or 4 weeks. We'll do another one, and we'll do this again. This was fun.
This is great, man.
All right, man. Well, thank you again, everyone, all 18 of you that are still here, and thank you, Johnny. And we'll see you guys soon. Go watch. If you came in late, go to the archives on YouTube. This will be up by probably tomorrow or the next day. You can watch the whole thing again. And I'll post the mix on our Facebook page over the next couple of days so people can hear it. Cool. All right, guys. Thank you. Take care.